Your time. Outrage over federal enforcement is intensifying across the country following yet another federal agent-involved shooting, this time in Portland, Oregon. This is the second shooting involving government agents in just 2 days.
We've been tracking both incidents and the growing backlash overnight. So here's what we know so far. Let's start in Portland, where two people, a man and a woman, are both in the hospital right now after being shot by Border Patrol agents during a traffic stop yesterday. The Department of Homeland Security says the driver tried to run the agents over, adding the officer who fired the gun feared for his life. DHS also says the pair have alleged ties to a notorious Venezuelan gang. That's the allegation. That's what they're saying.
And this new video shows a vigil in Portland as community members gathered last night to honor the two people shot. Now the city's mayor is calling for a halt to federal immigration operations until a full independent investigation is complete.
We know what the federal government says happened here. There was a time when we could take them at their word. That time is long past. Our community deserves answers. Our community deserves accountability. And most of all, our community deserves peace.
Hearing from the mayor of Portland, Oregon there. Well, state and local officials are urging community members to stay calm, especially in the wake of the fatal shooting of a woman in Minneapolis a day earlier. And we are learning more in the meantime about the ICE agent involved in that Minneapolis shooting.
That's right. That agent who shot and killed 37-year-old Renee Good is being identified as Jonathan David Ross, according to court records. A senior official with the Department of Homeland Security confirmed to CBS News that Ross was part of a specially trained tactical unit within ICE enforcement and removal operations. We're also learning he was previously dragged by a car during an arrest attempt. That was just 6 months ago. Now, Vice President J.D. Vance is blaming Good for her own death.
You have a woman who aimed her car at a law enforcement officer and pressed on the accelerator. Nobody debates that. I can believe that her death is a tragedy, while also recognizing that it's a tragedy of her own making.
In the meantime, state investigators say the federal government is blocking them from investigating the shooting. It's being handled solely by the FBI. And what's unfolding in cities like Minneapolis and Portland is now rippling into the district. Just last night, protesters gathered on U Street and they marched to the White House, demanding an end to ICE enforcement operations in our cities and to show support for Minneapolis.
Abolish ICE!
Renee Good! Renee Good!
Now, district leaders are raising tough questions about cooperation between MPD and ICE.
Our Jess Arnold is live outside of MPD headquarters, where the pressure has just been mounting. Jess, there is a key deadline today you're following for us. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, that's right. Today is the deadline for MPD to respond to the council's letter that they sent former police chief Pamela Smith just a few weeks ago, asking some detailed questions about D.C. Police's cooperation with ICE. Now, the current interim police chief, Jeffrey Carroll, just took over at the start of this year, but he did tell reporters yesterday that he does plan to respond to the council. Now, when he was asked what he is doing to make sure that D.C. does not see a similar shooting, similar incident like we saw in Minneapolis, he had this to say.
A lot of these individuals, they don't work in urban policing, so us working with federal authorities in the policing operations, being out there, actually helps us to make sure that we can work in those areas to help control what's going on. Obviously, I can't assure you of anything.
Just yesterday, the D.C. Council issued a report on potential human rights violations of federal agents and made the following recommendations: that the mayor rescinds her order establishing the Emergency Operations Center that authorized indefinite local coordination with federal immigration authorities, that the D.C. police chief ends the order on immigration enforcement authorizing MPD officers to share information about people who are not in their custody with federal agents and providing them with transportation, and that the council should strengthen protections in the Sanctuary Values Act. Chief Carroll said he and his team are still evaluating these policies, and Mayor Bowser responded with no comment on this report. But she did say this about D.C. cooperation with ICE.
That decision isn't made here. It's made at the Congress. And that's what has to happen. You can ask me 1,000 questions. You can send 1,000 questions to the chief about ICE. ICE is patrolling American cities. If we don't want that, the Congress has to stop funding ICE, because thousands of agents who are untrained to police in urban environments are on our streets. That's
Now, the council also said that they plan to exhaust all means to make sure that any federal agents operating in D.C. are subject to the same rules and policies that D.C. officers are, notably not wearing masks and providing identification when they are out on these patrols and making any type of enforcement. Guys.